And I'm Zanzi. Welcome to it once again as Hollywoodbets brings you GameON. And, well, with the seasons in South Africa, in England, and in Germany having winded down and given us plenty to talk about in the way of who's champion, who's qualified for continental places, we thought we'd do it differently this week in looking at the players and talking about the players and those that impressed from the three different leagues. So we'll start off with England. And, of course, I'm in the company of Shane McGregor. Shane, great to be in your company. So many good teams out in England that impressed this season, but we've also spoken about the number of teams that are able to get quality players now. That makes the league so interesting. But let's talk firstly about your best players that performed this season and start off with the first two teams, Arsenal, City. Best performing teams. How many in your starting 11, how many are from Arsenal and City?
Yeah, good to be here, by the way.
Yeah.
And, not because they're first and second. I just went on
I'm just curious, yeah.
I just went on consistency in the way the players played. I got about eight.
From both those teams?
From both those teams.
Let's just break down who you got there and what positions as well.
Well, I got 11. I got the full team.
Yeah.
But, we'll start with the goalkeeper.
Mm.
Unfortunately, there's joint Golden Gloves. One of them made my top choice, and the other one's on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
The Arsenal keeper didn't make the first 11. Raya, he's on the bench. But for me, Metzels from Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
Been the most consistent goalkeeper, I thought, the whole year. If you look at where Nottingham Forest come from and how they fared last season to this season, it's chalk and cheese, and he's been one of those that has helped them stabilise the team. So for me, Metzels, the goalkeeper that will start in my team.
It's interesting that you have made that choice from a goalkeeping point of view. Over the last, 5 to 10 years, there's been plenty of talk about goalkeepers that also play and help the teams either create chances or go on the transition from the back. What about him stands out?
Well, for me, the saves, the amount of saves.
Traditional goalkeeping.
Yeah, he can play with the ball at his feet, but for me, a goalkeeper's a goalkeeper. He's there to save the ball, stop goals going in, and that's all for me. I mean, I'm not worried about this. Can he play? Can he start from the back? Can he do this? As long as he's stopping the goals going in, that's the most important.
All right, then let's talk strikers. And who's on the sharp end of your attack?
Okay, well, striker, you got to look at it and out-and-out striker, a guy that's going to score you goals every season. Haaland comes to mind straight away for everyone. Unfortunately, with the injuries and inconsistency over the season, I've put him on the bench. The other one on the bench is Woods. For me, the player that stood out, even though he was injury worries during the season, was Alexander
Isak.
Definitely, from Newcastle. Whether he'll be at Newcastle next season is another story. 23 goals and 6 assists says it all, So for me, he stood out for me.
So is he one of those that you could see as being world-class? Could we put him under the world-class tag or the potential to be world-class in the next couple of years?
Potential's the word.
Potential.
I want to see season after season that he's getting that amount of goals, that he's producing the goods, that he's doing that well. Then you can say he's world-class. Up until then, potential.
Now, let's talk midfielders. Your best midfielders in England. I know Arsenal have had one player in the midfield, of course, their captain, who was impressed when he was missing. You bemoaned what Arsenal were missing with his contribution, of course. But who has been your best midfielder?
Well, talking about Arsenal, let's start with him, Declan Rice. He's been outstanding, commitment, he scores goals going forward, he defends, he gets them playing. He's all over the place. And I know I had a chat to Chris beginning of the season, and he wasn't too sure about Declan Rice.
Yeah.
So, he's been outstanding for me. Going forward, defending, everything. He must be one of the most improved players in the British League at the moment.
What about McAllister? I liked him before he went to Liverpool. Well, he was still at Brighton, but I think he's even better out at Liverpool with the quality that's around him. What do you make of him?
Well, he's definitely in my team. Starting 11. He has to be.
World Cup winner as well.
Yeah, because of his work rate, his positioning. He defends as well as attacks. Definitely has to be in your team. The other one that you can give a record is Palmer from Chelsea, but I don't know. He doesn't defend as much as McAllister does. McAllister's an all-rounder. Goes forward, he scores goals, he defends. The work rate of the man is unbelievable. I still don't know how he gets through it. So he's going to be in there. But the other one in midfield, and who's been outstanding this year and stood out above most of them, is Ryan Gravenberch from Liverpool.
Yeah.
Last season he played under Klopp, and he was nowhere. I mean, he was a bit player. All of a sudden coming in, Arnie Slot put him in at the number 6. All of a sudden it's a different player. So for me...
Is it safe to say that he's your most improved player between last season and this?
Yeah, one of them, definitely. You know, the way he's played, and I mean, the way he gets around the field has to be in there.
Now, let's favourite defender from the season. Let's not just look at Liverpool. You might just say Van Dijk, but who's been your best performing defender? And then let's talk the quality of defenders out in England.
Well, there's huge quality. I mean, you got to pick Van Dijk, captain, Mr. Consistency. He just sees authority on the field. For me, a right back is Muniz from Crystal Palace. One of the players has made more tackles than any other defender in the league. I mean, he's been brilliant, Muniz. So for me, Daniel Muniz, a Palace player, whether he'll be there next season as well, I'm not too sure. For me, the right back, a youngster that's coming through the ranks from a small club called Fulham. Yeah. Anthony Robinson, a left back. He was brilliant as well for me, 18 or 13 assists, He's 91% pass rate. Wow. Now that is high over a season. I'm talking about over the full season. He's one guy that you've got to look out for, and one for the future, but definitely one to look at. The other centre-backs, Gabriel was injured for Arsenal, so he was in there. Other one that stood out for me, our old campaigner, Tarkowski from Everton. People look at me like I'm mad, but I mean, he wins tackles, the heart, everything else.
I have to ask you, especially with a team that struggles like Everton, and they have struggled at times this season, is it still possible to pick a player that's amongst the best in the season from a struggling team?
Of course, yes. Why not?
Some youngsters will be watching and wondering how.
Because of what he does for the team, and how he stands out in that team. And when he plays against opposition like Liverpool, Arsenal, how he stands out in them. I mean, he goes forward, scores goals, big, strong defender, heart of gold, and one of those that always stands out for Everton.
I know you've chosen subs as well, but I have to ask you, your coach of the season, player of the season as well.
Well, without doubt, the coach of the season's got to be Arnie Slot. No one expected him to do as well as he did.
Debut season as well,
Debut season. No one expected him to do that. And my assistant coach would be Nuno Espirito Santo from Wolves, from Forest. He's gone in there and he's turned the team around completely. Very underrated manager, very underrated guy. That'll be my two.
And player of the season, yours?
Player of the season is very difficult, I thought you'd say Mo Salah. We've left out Mo Salah. I'm not going to pick Mo Salah as my player of the season. Okay. There's been times where he's been inconsistent.
We're dying to know who is.
So for me, this is going to be a big surprise in actual fact. I'm going to go with Declan Rice as my player of the season.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Some Arsenal fans will be loving that. And interesting, in listening to Shane's breakdown of the best performers and why they're the best performers as well, and some surprise inclusions as well, as we look at the players and their contribution to what's been a memorable season out in England. So we take a short break, come back, discuss what's happening locally with the players that have had a huge impact here in South Africa. Later on, Shane comes back and we'll do the same in Germany.
Wanna bet?
You are on.
Breaking news. Goko takes a Brian's challenge to a penalty shootout.
Aziz again.
Let's go.
Brian looks confident here. What? He's completely missed it. Here comes Goko. And what a kick! She's done it! She's done the impossible! Hollywoodbets, Azisha, let's play.
Welcome back to Game On, and we've been discussing the best players out in England that had a huge impact this season. It's time to switch over and look at the players that rocked Mzansi and the beautifully South African game. Joyce Kosana joins me now, and let's talk about it. Firstly, looking at departments. Now, I'm very interested in the goalkeeping department because a bit of a debate will start here. Some will say China from Orlando Pirates. Some will say Ronwen Williams, of course, out at Mamelodi Sundowns. Others will say there's one goalkeeper that did just about as well as them, playing for a struggling team. That is Chipazeze out at Maklesi. Who's your goalkeeper that has stood out? And what is the difference between those three keepers? Why is your one standing out over the other two that I've mentioned?
Thanks, Caesar. I think you just got it right in terms of these three because they're the top, but there is just another goalkeeper that I forgot about his surname, to be honest. he's doing well at TS Galaxy. But I think these three, obviously, are top of my list. Chipezeze, Ronan Williams, and Chiney. But for me, I think the most top goalkeeper for me, because I look at how the other teams are playing, his contribution in the game, I would say Ronan Williams. Because if there is a problem, he's the one that can always play the ball outside of his 18 area. He's not just a goalkeeper that will only use his hands, but he also uses his feet and also his distribution in terms of kicking the ball. He's got this class.
Some will say Chipezeze won them a tournament. He said the tournament in that he kept clean sheets. They scored just one goal to win games, just about enough to win games. But he was the guy that won man of the match in just about every game they played in the Carling knockout. So same number of clean sheets or similar to China and Jordan Williams as well in the league. Why not Chipezeze?
I think we need to look at the overall performance, not
Yeah.
just the shot stopper. Because for me, if you talk about Chipezeze, he's more of a shot stopper than an overall a goalkeeper that can always play outside of the box, have that communication with the defenders. Sometimes, he's the one that just calms the game down. Chipezeze is just a shot stopper.
Yeah.
He's good in that. But also Ronwen is part of that. But you look at his advance in terms of what you want as a coach. All the attributes that he's got, they also give something to the team. Defenders want to play with him because they are confident of him. Every time they are in trouble, they can play the ball back. But if you play Chipezeze, oh my God, it's a problem. But these are two different areas that
Ronwen, I hear your argument. Ronwen influences the playing style and contributes as well. So
his contribution.
It's something that stands out completely. Now let's talk defenders. Some will say, "Oh no, it's easy. Those that play for Bafana play for Pirates, play for Mamelodi Sundowns as well." Your thoughts on the best four in the country for you this season?
For me, this season,
starting left back, right back.
Yeah, I would just go for Dino van Rooyen. You look at everything that is done when
in the right back position.
Right back position.
Now you must keep in mind he's competing with one of the best in Khulisa Motau. Some would say it's one of the best in the continent.
Thank you. That's basically the point.
Yeah.
But for me, I would love Dino. Because you look at a player that comes from one team to another team, and then he up his performance. When you talk about Khulisa Motau, when he was still with the Black Leopards, nobody knew anything of him. Only when he started being with the Mamelodi Sundowns, he was consistent. He's also the best right back ever. But I think now the change that he's got now, it's not the forays that he normally does when he was coached by Rulani Mukwena and Manoba Mniti. But now the coaches just put him to say, you stay behind. You need to do your job of defending. But for him, for me, that's the change now that he's no longer providing in terms of him going forward and putting crosses. So he's been changed. So that's why I would say I would go for Dino van Rooyen. Because for me, what he was doing at Stelis, he's doing it better at Pirates as well. I mean, good in defending, good in playing, and also going forward to add numbers. So that's basically for me, Dino van Rooyen.
Well, go through the rest of your back four.
My back four, I would go for Dino van Rooyen on the right. I go for Pasadine, also from Stelis.
Scores goals, creates goals as well.
That's basically the point. I don't know what Steve Barker does to these players because Dino is from Steve Barker at Stelis. Pasadine is still with Steve Barker at Stelis. So it's a good thing for me that I go for. And then also, people will always ask, why is this guy talking about this guy? There is like a DRC man at Sekhukhune, Chibabo.
Yes.
Chibabo. What a calm guy. What a guy that you'll always look at his body and then you just take it as if maybe it's just a roll in the park. He's so strong, he's so quick. He can always go forward and score goals. Remember what he did to Orlando Pirates, scoring with a header. He missed another two, but for me, that's how I give to him. And the young man, Mbogazi.
Mbogazi is interesting. He's only played 3 months or so of professional football, let's keep in mind, but he really has been outstanding. There's Tokuguti. Al-Ahly may very well be looking at him, but that's just speculation for now. Now, quickly, give me your midfielders. Quickly name the list and then we'll break it down. Yeah.
Reno is a number 10. Out have Ribeiro. Behind them, I'll have Makaula to mark for them because these are ball players. Then I'll have on the attack, I'll have Nkota on the right. Then I'll have Makhalwa from Sekhukhune on the left. Those are quick wingers that will always score goals for you when you need them. So these are more like my 5 midfielders because if I have to break down 5 midfielders because,
number 10?
me, it will be like more like a 4-5-1.
So who's your number 10 in this situation?
Ribeiro for me. Yes, Ribeiro and
the youngsters out wide.
Really.
Yeah.
Fucking those two. If they've got somebody who will sit for them and make sure that he covers them, in me, I would go for Makaula.
Now, you're outstanding striker in the Premiership or the PSL?
Ikram Reyners. I thought he was going to get lost at Sunderland. Because if you look at the way they play at Stellis, it's totally different from what you get from Sunderland. Sunderland, they want an off-the-ball player, not somebody that just runs on the passes that they always get. Because, you know, if Ikram Reyners had to play for Pyramids that destroyed us, he would be the top goal scorer. He would be competing against Mayele.
Don't even think about it. Your best young player of the season. Best young player.
Lebohile.
Mofokeng. And you know, there you go. A star was certainly born in the way of the beautifully South African game with Mofokeng and what he's done out in the land of Pirates and on the international stage as well, including the Champions League. So thank you very much to Jace Kosana. Shane comes back. We talk about football in Germany. Welcome back to GameON. Now, time to look at some of the best players out in Germany and players that have had a huge impact. And one we'll start off with, in just separating him from the rest, is the player of the season out in Germany, Harry Kane. And we speak of Harry Kane because he's had a wonderful goal-scoring career, one of the most famous strikers in the world over the last 10 years. But his first real trophy from a club point of view, it's been a long wait for a man who's contributed a lot to his career.
Yeah, and he had to go to Germany to get it. You know, that makes all the difference.
So congratulations to Harry Kane for eventually getting it right, yeah?
Yeah, congratulations to him. Yeah, exactly. Eventually getting it right. But as I say, he had to leave the UK and go to Germany to do it, you know. With Spurs, he was never going to win it because they weren't ambitious enough. And he's come to a club that's very ambitious. Top goal scorer 2 years in a row. What more can you say? 26 goals. I mean, yeah, some of them penalties, but it doesn't matter. You still got to put them in the back of the net.
The importance of the first goal in every game can't be overstated in just giving a team like Bayern or Real Madrid's the major powers the advantage over some of the minnows. In 10 games this season, Kane was the first to score and give Bayern the lead. How important is that sort of player? And how important is it to be able to play for that sort of player?
Well, put it this way.
And bring the best out of him.
Put it this way. The manager, the very first player puts on the team with Harry Kane, and you work around that. It's very important, you know, to get on the forward foot and to put other teams under pressure, especially when you buy. It's very important. And he's very good at doing that, and he's very good at taking his chances. So yeah, what a player.
Now, I heard a train of thought that said, I think a year or two ago, that in Germany, they traditionally had strikers, traditional number 9s, your Müllers and so on throughout the years, Klinsmann and so on. But of late, Pep got there. False 9 becomes fashionable. It was the same in Spain, it's the same in England. And in Germany, they were struggling somewhat for the original number 9 in the way of their players they're developing. And that's why guys like Kane are doing so well today, in that Germany is struggling in that regard. Would you agree with that?
Yes and no. You know, you got Fulkrach, that's the big German that plays there. So you know, you can't say that it's done. But yeah, I agree with you. There is a little bit of a depth problem there. But you know, having said that, they'll develop someone and they'll bring someone along. They always do. The Germans, they always find it.
Now, let's talk other players that have had an impact and that have impressed you this season. Starting off with strikers, one or two others other than Harry Kane.
Well, you know, you got to look at it and say how many strikers are there in that league as such, but there are a few. For me, Harry Kane stood out by far the most, you know. So I don't even want to mention the other guys. You've got a couple of Bayern, but they play wide. A lot of the other guys all come from wide. So out and out strikers got to be only one, Harry Kane.
Wow, that's that's quite impressive for Harry Kane. Is he the type that when you look at him at first time you ever see him play, where you say, wow, this guy's outstanding, or is he one of those surprise packages where over time he wins you over? Yeah,
you know, he doesn't have the pace like most strikers do and big strikers do. So yeah, he's one of those, you know. You got to look at players that play around him. Lisa, another player that you got to look at from Bayern, Musiala. You got to look at all these players, you know. So it's all benefiting him that he's got players around him.
So there you have it. That's Germany, and the one player that certainly stood out in Germany and who's throughout his career been outstanding. Harry Kane. We take our hats off to him in another successful season, especially from a goal scoring point of view and picking up a medal in Germany. So let's find out more about Hollywoodbets and what they're doing in contributing once again to just sports all around in South Africa.
One thing about former players in our country, they always try to give back to the beautiful game that shaped their lives. Some have foundations that put on great tournaments, while others have gone the academy route. And one such is Kelvin Sosibo. Kelvin grew up in Mlazi in KwaZulu-Natal and went on to join clubs such as Kaizer Chiefs and Maritzburg United, while he also played in Turkey during his professional career. Many of his influences in coaching stem from his time abroad, and he is trying to make a genuine change to our football culture at grassroots level with the help of his good friends at the Hollywood Foundation.
This collaboration comes handy because it's something that we never had. We used to train at post office, a post office in Mega City. And there was a team that is called Umla Center. And one thing that I never appreciated was the fact that you see kids coming with Father Christmas clothes. One is wearing that, one is wearing that, one is wearing that. So now, this collaboration helps the kids to fully identify themselves. If you've seen now what we have done, we've put them according to age, which is black is 7, green is 10, and then you have the 12s, which were blue. My vision about the academy came, again, I'll go back to myself, through things that I've seen that were not being done right. I myself, as a professional that has played locally and internationally, so where I was in Turkey, that's when I realized the importance of an academy and also having people that are qualified to do the job and what are the steps that needs to come about. So my initiative is that get the kids as young as you can, where now you initiate them first and then you teach them technicality and then you teach them tactically. So the steps should not be missed. Let us work on foundation, base it, get to a first brick, second brick, then we can roof it. Where do we do that? 7 to 8, 10 to 11, 12 to 13, and then 16 now, that is where we are more tactical.
Seasoned journalist and Hollywoodbets content creator Velile Mnyandu was present for the kit handover from the Hollywood Foundation and shared just why people like Kelvin are so important to our football ecosystem.
When you look at Kelvin, he's always been someone who's been very close to the game, and his association with the game didn't even start opening an academy like this. If you look back at his coaching, he's always wanted to come with solutions. And this is not just your average academy where you find that he's getting more out of it. He's doing more for the love of the game, and it's also good to see because he's just been busy now with his B license as well. So you can see this is someone who's growing himself in this space of coaching. But also now it's good to see a brand like Hollywood Foundation coming into this space, and you see the association with grassroots football in the country, and yes, maybe you will say this is in a different space that they are doing this, but I think it's more about on the side of the kind of individuals that they are helping to also grow in the space of coaching and also of establishing their own setups.
Massive thanks to Hollywood Foundation for gracing us with their presence and giving us the goodies. We really, really appreciate this. Will go a long way. And I know they're out there. We're trying to make them as visible as possible also. By them coming to us is a sign that we appreciate you guys, and we hope that it's going to be many, many more that will come.
Well, thank you once again to Hollywoodbets for always looking out for South African sportsmen and sportswomen as well. So that makes our show. And as far as GameON this weekend, we'd like to take the time to thank our legends, Jerry Khosana, Shane McGregor. We'd like to thank you at home for joining us every Saturday through the 24-25 campaign. We look forward to seeing you next week. From me, Cesar Mapena, and the rest of the team that is behind the scenes is click, click, bang,